Welcome to another episode of People with Passion for Pets. I'm Bea Walker, your host, and my guest on the show today is Meghan Wolfgram. She is the CEO and the founder of a company called SwiftPaws. SwiftPaws makes health and wellness lifestyle products for pets and their owners. And today I'm excited to talk to Meghan about their original lure course, SwiftPaws Home product. Well, hi, Meghan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to meet you, at least virtually.
Yes, nice to meet you too. So, Meghan, I just recently came across your product, SwiftPaws Home, which is a lure course product that people can actually use in their backyard or maybe even inside their home, which I immediately was just fascinated by because, as dog trainers, we always look into dog sports because it's such a beautiful thing that people can do with their pets. But yours just opens up all these possibilities. So I'm so glad to connect with you and talk to you about the product and have you talk to my audience about it. So welcome.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad that you found SwiftPaws and our product.
But you guys have been, I just found you, but you've been around quite some time, right?
We actually got our start a little over a decade ago, and I had just graduated college when I discovered the sport of lure coursing, and the rest sort of snowballed from there.
But Meghan, you are actually the person that invented this product. Is that correct?
So I like to say that I certainly didn't invent lure coursing. And I guess maybe I should start there. When I was still in college and I had this little dog whose picture is behind us, his name is Pretzel. I loved dog sports and I loved sort of the idea of training and competing and also having that relationship. So I was doing dog agility. My agility trainer told me about lure coursing. So lure coursing got its start in the 70s as an alternative to more of a traditional coursing, which would be sight hound chasing after live rabbits, which you can imagine is not really condoned in this day and age. But I think the point is, most dogs, nearly all dogs, have a natural prey drive, that instinct to chase and to pursue something. And so lure coursing was initially an alternative where they could not have to go out and find live animals. They could do the similar and they also do it as a sport. So they're judged. The sight hounds are judged. And originally it was only for sight hounds. So if you didn't have one of like a list of 7 breeds, Salukis, Afghan hounds, Rhodesian Ridgeback, Greyhounds, you actually couldn't compete in the sport historically. And then I didn't realize it, but the year that I discovered that sport, I thought, oh, wait a minute, this little guy loves to chase. And I knew that he would really enjoy chasing after a fake squirrel because he really liked chasing after real squirrels. That same year, 2011, is the first year that the American Kennel Club introduced a version of lure coursing for all breeds. So all of a sudden, for the first time ever, every breed of dog, including what they would consider to be a all-American or a mixed breed dog or a dog that you adopted from the shelter, was allowed to now compete in this new performance sport. And that was called CAT, the Coursing Ability Test. So it's a little confusing. It's CAT, but it is a dog sport. And so I just discovered the sport and I thought, wow, how cool is that? And sort of one thing led to another. There really weren't a lot of opportunities, and especially not really any in Florida, which is where I'm from. And so the closest I could find was in Georgia. And it happened to still be a sight hound event. So I knew that my dog couldn't compete, but I just wanted him to try it. And ultimately, I reached out to them. I said, I know he can't compete, but would it be possible? I'd be happy to pay you, like, just to give him a chance to try it. And I totally understand their response. They got back to me and they said, look, like, if there's time at the end of the day and the judge is okay with it and the lure operator's not tired, like, yes, we could give it a try. Unfortunately, I couldn't drive 6 hours for a maybe. It's not going to work for me to go somewhere that already has it and try it. What if I just buy this machine and try it? Only I realized that the equipment that was available, this very heavy duty, high powered, professional grade machines that run these huge courses for sight hounds, by the time you got everything you needed, it was like $4,000 or more.
Oh, wow.
So that wasn't happening. So ultimately, I made a machine with the help of my dad, who's a very handy guy. And it was crude, but it did the trick, and my dog Pretzel loved it. And so in October of 2011, I invited all my agility friends out, and we had a barbecue, and we were playing music, and we used the front pasture of a friend of mine's horse farm. And we ran the dogs, and everybody had a good time, and everybody pitched in a little bit to cover the cost of the food and stuff. And at the end of that event, so many people were asking me, "Wow, when are we going to get together and do this again?" Because that was amazing. And yeah, the rest is history.
Well, obviously, there's still a lot of other work that is involved when you take a product from something that you just build in your backyard, and now you have something that you have, which you know, and we're going to show some pictures for our audience for the videos. But you know, this is a really neat device because, as you were saying, usually lure course equipment is very heavy, it can be expensive, and so you came up with a product that is portable, it's small enough to fit in people's backyards, or like I mentioned, I mean, I could even see somebody, maybe if they have a larger indoor area, that they could even do this indoors. So it opens up the door to use this type of sport and activity with pets in so many other ways. And like you said, it's not just something you and your dog have to do. You can bring people over, you can have parties and all kinds of fun events around it.
It's really social. And obviously, I didn't set out to make a product. I just thought my dog would really enjoy it. And then the lack of available, affordable equipment led me to making one. And it wasn't until the next year. So SwiftPaws didn't get started until middle of 2012. And at that time, the thought was, so the professional equipment that was available, and I do like to point out that, you know, we're not competing with the manufacturers that have been around for a long time making that high-powered equipment. Those machines can literally run circles around what we produce. What SwiftPaws, what our vision is, what we produce is lure coursing machines for all breeds. So our professional grade machine is still not as powerful as the ones that exist to run sight hounds. Because the sport opened up, now all of a sudden, if you were going to be running an event, you needed to be able to have a machine that could stay ahead of a really fast dog, like a Whippet or Greyhound, but you also had to be able to run at an appropriate speed for a much smaller dog. I mean, say even a Pekingese who's running at an average of 8 or 9 miles an hour. So that the traditional equipment is not variable speed. And so it's really hard to run it for a smaller, slower dog. So really we got our start thinking, what if we built a few professional machines for doggy daycares, dog trainers, these clubs who are now starting to offer the all breed coursing sports. So the all breed lure coursing, it's also not a full-on competitive event. The dogs are really competing against themselves. So in the sport of the coursing ability test, it's pass or fail. The judge says they did it or they didn't do it. The other one, the Fast Cat, and likewise the United Kennel Club has introduced their own version called precision coursing. Those are timed events. So the dog is running the course and it's timed. So they're not actually competing head-to-head against other dogs, although they do rank them by breed, which is really, really cool. So you can see where your dog stacks up against other dogs like them. So what we did really well was we made a professional grade machine that could run all breeds. Now, the maximum course length that our machine is comfortable running is about 600, maybe 700 yards, which is about the starting course length for the professional sight hound type of racing. But that's okay because our machine also incorporated variable speed. You could run it really slow. You also have the ability to reverse the direction. So if you need to bring the lure back for any reason, you can reverse it really easily. And it has some built-in safety features that make it overall a lot more efficient and safe to operate. So So then we did that. We made, I don't know, maybe 100 machines in total. So a lot of people are surprised that SwiftPaws has such a long history. But for the first 6 or 7 years of our existence, we were really in a garage. And I say we because I actually went in with a partner to start SwiftPaws. And so my former partner and I were making machines out of a garage and selling them to doggy daycares, dog trainers, to some zoos and to clubs. And it wasn't until 2017 that we realized, and really that was, I just got so overwhelmed by people at events. So, you'd go to these events where you're running the professional equipment, and the people who are there, they're like, I need one in my backyard. And then they'd ask you if you sell them, and you said yes. And our machines were less expensive than the other professional grade equipment, but they were still a couple $1,000s. And that's just not affordable for people to put in their own homes. So at that point, it was like, okay, if we don't make a version that people can really use themselves, somebody's going to, because there's such a demand for it. And that's really the turning point. That's when I think SwiftPaws became a startup. So we stopped producing the professional grade machines because that was a lot of effort and intense. And we started developing what is now the hero product of our brand, our SwiftPaws Home, the one that you can put in your own backyard.
A lot of times you can go to a dog event and they'll have a course set up and you can try your dog. I remember the first time my mini Aussie Apollo, we thought he'd really enjoy it. And he started out on the course, but he's such a mama's boy that he was like halfway down the course and he was like looking back at me and he came running back to me, like, which
That's
was
actually
really cute.
common. People think like, oh, yeah, my dog's going to be fine, but the dog gets maybe 30 or 40 feet away. Where's mom?
Which, if you think about it, that's wonderful, because if I'm out hiking, I don't want him running after, things and just forget about me. But
we spend our whole lives trying to tell them don't. And then here's a place where they can. It's also very important that you build their confidence, but in a way where they know that they're allowed.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about is, although some people may have tried it out with their pets and some people may have never heard about it at all, what are some of the steps? I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of training involved when you want to use this or start using this with your pet.
Yeah. So I have my preferred method of introducing a dog. So just from, going around the country and doing a lot of events where I see a lot of dogs trying it for the first time. My tried and true method, and it doesn't take much. Most dogs have that innate prey drive, and I like to say that something like SwiftPaws, something like lure coursing, but it can be other stuff too, frisbee, tennis ball, right? This type of activity where they're chasing after something. You're really taking your dog's natural prey drive and you're sort of converting it into play drive. So at first, the dog is going to chase instinctively. They don't really even know what it is yet, right? If you just take something and throw it, your dog's probably going to follow it, but they still don't know exactly what it is. And then over a little bit of time, and the first time it stops, they might kind of like be a little cautious, but once they realize, oh, that's a toy, in their head, it goes, oh, this is a game. And so then your dog's mentality turns into, oh, this is a game that I get to play. And that's when you can really develop it into something that's a very healthy outlet for their energy and their prey drive. So when somebody shows their dog the very first time, I like the dog to be on leash and I like them to really see it from a distance. Because one surefire way to sort of overwhelm your dog is if you do too much too soon. So if your dog goes right up to it and checks it out and all of a sudden you run it, could scare them. I mean, what if that was a snake sitting there, right? And they don't know what it is. So I really like to let them see it from, maybe 10 feet away. And then they're sort of tracking it with their eyes. And as the owner, you have to let them know that it's okay. So you're going to, what is that a squirrel? You're going to go get it. You sort of have your language, the way you
encourage them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're encouraging them. And last but not least, you want what you can't have. So if you're going to hold them back a little, it almost piques their interest just a little bit more. One of my favorite ways, side note, to get a dog to do a recall is a restrained recall, right? So when somebody holds the dog, you get them excited, then you run away. The person holds them back until they really want to go back towards their owner, and then then you release them. So it's sort of that similar idea. You're going to hold them back just a little until they really look interested, and then you're going to say, okay, go get it. You're giving permission. And people ask all the time, is my dog going to go home and chase my cat? If your dog doesn't already chase your cat, they're not going to all of a sudden chase you, because they know the difference. They know it's a toy. They know it's a game. And in fact, because it's an outlet, I have customers send me video of their dog chasing the SwiftPaws with a squirrel sitting on a tree, and the dog's ignoring the squirrel because they want their toy. So that's my favorite way. Let them see it from a little bit of a distance moving to sort of increase that interest, and then hold them back, but encourage them with your voice. And then when they are really excited about it, then you let them go. And those are my 3 steps.
I love a lot about what you said there. You said 2 things that I want to kind of hone in a little bit on. One is that, yes, introduce the dog slowly, give them some time. And I think that's one of the things is people, we always want to do the whole thing really quickly. I see the same thing, for instance, with pet cameras that, shoot out treats, because all of these mechanical devices make sounds, and to us as people, it's maybe not a big deal. Oh, that's not very loud. But the first time, for instance, Jack Russell saw, a pet tossing camera, she was like, woo, I don't like that at all, So that's one thing I think that's very important, is take your time, let the dog slowly understand it. I love what you talked about, the holding back. If you can't have it, then you really, really want it. But the other thing that you said, which I really, really want to kind of talk a little bit about, is that this can be used actually for some pets that may have some behavior issues. And let's say a behavior issues of chasing the cat or chasing the children, right, in the backyard and nipping at the heels. They're doing that not because they're mean. They're doing that because there is a lack in their life of ability to take their natural instincts or what they were bred for, and a need that they need fulfilled. And something like a lure course is much more productive to have them chase a little baggie on a string that is in your backyard. So I really think that is very, very important to let people know that, this type of activity is very beneficial. It's not just a fun game. This can be a great way to exercise your pet, and it's also mental stimulation and a way to fulfill their personal needs.
I love that you talk about that, because so many times you'll hear people say, oh, that's a working breed of dog. No matter if it's maybe a herding dog or, maybe a bird dog, but a working breed, and they need a job. Well, not everybody is going to have access to a farm full of sheep. Not everybody is going to have the ability, space, time to give their breed or specific mix of breed dog the outlet that they were bred for. So you sort of have to search and find what is going to be that job for them.
Today's dog owners, I like to call them pet parents, they're a lot more looking to fulfill their dog's needs too. It's not just an animal that sits out in the backyard and is there like maybe the fish that floats in a tank or something. But definitely people want to be having their dogs have great fulfilled life and do things with them. And that's one of the reasons why we wrote our book, Keep Your Paws on the Road. We wanted to just offer some simple tools where people can just realize, it's not that a dog either is perfect or he's not. It's that it takes a dog to be comfortable with certain things, and traveling is one of them. A dog has to become comfortable going into all kinds of different areas and places with a lot of people. So
you're so right. And what I really love is I see that in dog owners today. They're looking at, well, how do I give my pet the best life they possibly can have? So SwiftPaws, over time, we have sort of evolved from this one product, one focus, to now I really am trying to have that conversation about enrichment, because I think that there's many aspects that give a pet a really fulfilling life. One of those is nutrition. One of those is proper medical veterinary care. You have to meet all of these things. But another one is enrichment, both physical and mental. And that's the piece that I think as human beings, our own mental well-being and physical well-being is something that is more recent, right? Take care of yourself,
Yep.
self-care. And I think we're turning that lens towards our pets too. And I like that you said, you know, pets really aren't just like sitting outside, right? You used to get a dog for the family, and now people are getting a dog to be a part of the family. And I think
Yes.
that's really the shift that has happened. That's why we get to be in business, and it's also why we're trying to branch out. What I really want to endorse is the conversation that people can have with each other on how they're bringing enrichment to their pets' lives.
That's awesome. That's really good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what other products you come up with.
Yeah, well, we recently added a flirt pole, which I'm sure
Okay.
you know what that is. It's not obviously our main product. The lure coursing kit is our patented product, but flirt poles have been around for a long time. I knew I always wanted to have it as an option for our customers, especially as a lower priced option or an option if you don't have all the available space to set up a SwiftPaws. But we are coming up with some new stuff too, and that's something that I really want to offer something for everybody at every price point. Also, not only for dogs, but eventually for cats and indoor use. So that's sort of the dream on the horizon.
That's wonderful, Megan. Wow, I'm impressed. Now I know I can't let you go before I talk to you about your personal pets. Now you talked a little bit about the little guy behind you, and talk a little bit about your pets.
Yeah, so well, Pretzel's the dog who started it all, and I did lose him. I lost him in the early part of 2021. I can talk about it now without crying, but
I know.
it's really, I owe everything that I'm doing now to him, and it's amazing how he really changed the trajectory of my life. And I got that dog when I was 16 years old, and he lived to the ripe old age of 14 and a half. So I was really lucky to have him in my life during that really transformative period when you're becoming an adult and learning about the world. And so he started it all. Currently, I have another dog. Her name is Piper. She is a pointer mix, a German short-haired pointer mix. And she actually is from a shelter in Miami. I do also foster, so I do some work with a few different organizations. She was my 10th foster dog, and she was my first foster fail. So
that's great.
She is such a sweetheart. And one of the reasons why I knew that I had to keep her was that Pretzel actually liked her. So he didn't really love other dogs, and it was a challenge finding stuff for him. So he wasn't super social. At best, he would ignore another dog. And so when he really liked Piper and would even sleep on the same couch as Piper, I knew, like, okay, this one's special. If Pretzel and Piper, of course, I don't have Pretzel anymore, but he'll be with me forever. And one of the coolest things that's ever happened is that the first generation, when we were modeling out the backyard version of SwiftPaws, one of the engineers said, you know, can I get a picture of Pretzel's foot? And he put Pretzel's paw print into the bottom of the actual machine, which is super cool. I have a machine here, so I'll show you. So this is the home unit, and that's the drive. So that's the pulley that drives everything. And on the very bottom, you can see, I'll turn it this way. You can see Pretzel's paw print. So originally, of course, it was just a really cool aspect, and now it's sort of this legacy. And to me, it's just like the way that he's leaving his mark and helping bring this type of enrichment to dogs everywhere.
Oh, that's very special. And I love that you give so much credit to him. But, you know, that's really what it's all about. And, you know, the people that I asked to come on the show, it is about the passion for our pets that lead oftentimes to the creation of these wonderful pet products. And that is certainly the journey that you went on. So thank you for sharing that with us. Well, Megan, of course, we'll be sure to share the links in the description below the video of what people can connect with you. But why don't you tell the audience your website and other social media links so that they can find you when they need it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really easy to find. If you look up SwiftPaws anywhere, you'll find the website. You'll find us on all the social media channels. We're also on YouTube. So wherever you like to be social, just search for SwiftPaws, and you'll find us.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun. I think this is such a great product. And like I said, this is not just a game that you play. This is something that can really change your dog's life and also your life, because when you get a pet that is fulfilled and has an outlet for all of their instincts and things that they need to do in their life, you have a much better relationship. And as a dog owner, you can enjoy them so much more. So it's really a great product.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this episode of People with Passion for Pets, then please like it and share it with your friends and family. And we'd love to see your comments below. And for more interesting interviews with people with passion for pets, go ahead and check out my playlist over here. And until next time, keep your paws on the road.